Barclays Bank gave themselves another huge bonuses for their contribution to crashing the economy. Particularly the Vodafone case is an interesting. You probably know all about this. What do they call it? United. I forget the name. It's a group of young people who've been organizing picketing of places where they sell Vodafone equipment because based on their, I think it was Cameron, just essentially gave them £6 billion for not paying taxes, settlement tax havens, and this is expanding. There's plenty of money around that's going into the pockets of people who have the power to keep it. But it's true that investment is down and consumer demand is down after the major crisis. There's only one source of demand, that's government spending. And if that's reduced in the austerity programs, it's going to be a very hard serious effects on the economy, on human life, of course. There's a deficit, but the way to get out of a deficit, which is longer term, is to get the economy to grow. Then you get out of deficit. I know the details more in the United States, but I think it's the same in Europe. So I think these are extremely dangerous policies in general, and I don't think they're undertaken for the purposes of dealing with deficits. It doesn't make any economic sense. I think they're undertaken, there's a principle in law which says if you want to determine an intent, look at predictable consequences. That's strong evidence for intent. And the predictable consequences in this case are quite obvious. They're going to harm the poor, they're going to harm working people, they're going to break up popular organizations like unions, they're going to affect teachers, and firefighters, and so on. That's the consequences. Meanwhile, the bonuses are going to the pockets of Barclays Bank managers, Vodafone will be doing great, and so on. Those are the consequences. So what's the intent? Well, if this was a necessity, if there really was no alternative, Thatcher's famous statement, well, okay, you have to grin and bear it, but that's nowhere near the case. So then comes the question, well, how do you react? This isn't Egypt. You don't have to overthrow a dictatorship by mass uprising. There are parliamentary mechanisms that can be used to change policy. And that's why, to go back to Karl Marx, when he was talking about global revolution, he suggested that in England, one country that had a sort of functioning parliamentary system, he said in England, a major revolution could come about through the vote. It doesn't have to be a popular uprising. Well, we're not talking about revolution, but I think the same logic applies. But there's nothing wrong with major prejudice.
Georgie would like to add a couple of words to that.
Just I'd say on the question of freedom of speech, I was quite surprised when I was contacted and told that the Cardiff University couldn't host my talk because of security concerns. I think maybe they saw the footage from the demonstration and they were worried about me attacking them. But I think what's interesting about the rise of new alternative forms of media, and particularly the internet, is that we now can view events as they are happening rather than as they are reported, and the corporate media no longer have a complete monopolisation over how we view events. But it's important to recognise that the uprisings in Egypt and Tunisia were never inevitable, and no one could have predicted them. Ben Ali didn't give the Tunisian people their freedom. Mubarak didn't give the Egyptian people their freedom. Those people demanded their freedom. And as Professor Chomsky said, conditions here became intolerable a long time ago. So it's time that we demanded our own freedom.
Could I just mention that Jodie's going to be speaking tomorrow in the Temple of Peace, which is in King Edward Avenue, at 11:30 a.m. Okay, so get along to the Temple of Peace if you can to hear him. And let me also thank Sir Chomsky for a really uplifting, terrific, inspirational talk. At various times over the last, 40 years, I have to say, when I felt sort of depressed with British politics and prevailing cynicism and apathy, I picked up one of his books or read one of his articles, and it's been a never-ending source of inspiration and fresh hope. It's also really encouraging to see so many people here. I can't think of many other speakers who would have filled St David's Hall, but I can't think of many other cities. Many other cities where so many people would turn out to hear what was a really vital and urgent talk. It's like Gertrude Stein said of Oakland, Washington would live in Oakland, California, there's no there. Well, there's a there in Cardiff. There's a real grassroots socialist tradition, and this is spectacular witness to it. It's terrific. And thank you very much. I would like to give you, as a token of our esteem and fond memories, this Welsh love spoon. I think it'd be... Unfortunately, it means that we're betrothed now. But thank you very much for coming. Thank you.